A city on the verge of greatness. A new type of city, based not on the man, but on the automobile. The car. A symbol of freedom and vitality. Where every man can own his own home, and have room to breathe, and not be overlooked by his neighbors. A city where a man's home is his castle. A quarter acre of the dream made possible by victory. A city of opportunists. A city of dreams, where Hollywood will shape the thoughts and desires of the entire planet. A city of pioneers. A city of dreamers. A city of undercurrents, where not everything is as it seems. A 20th century city that will become a model for the world. A city that has no boundaries, that will stretch as far as the eye can see. In the Marine Corps, you deal with the chain of command.
Hello YouTube, Red Gamer here. Today we're going to be diving into LA Noire. LA Noire is a very compelling game that sits along a line of Rockstar games that didn't miss the mark on their 2-decade run from, let's say, 2000 to about now. All the Grand Theft Autos that came out, Bully, so on and so forth. And LA Noire, although not developed by Rockstar, it was published by Rockstar. It's a very compelling game. So I played LA Noire about a year after it came out, and it was very good to me. I enjoyed it. I ran through it immediately, and I loved the noir element of it. I enjoy the aesthetic and sounds of noir films, and generally it's a genre of mine that I rather enjoy. So when I saw that they were making a game like this, of course it piqued my interest. So I replayed the game recently to see how exactly I would experience it compared to a 15-year-old version of myself. And I'd say this time around I have a deeper appreciation for the work that went into making this game. For the purpose of this retrospective, I will be giving brief summaries while focusing on certain cases that stood out to me. This isn't a complete summary of the game, although I will highlight most of the game. I won't be breaking it down on a case-by-case basis. If you want something more like that, then I recommend LA Noire 12 Years Later by Fuzzy Slippers. He does a really good job of making you feel as if you've played the game without actually having played the game. So LA Noire was developed by Team Bondi, and they're based out of Sydney, Australia. LA Noire is set in a post-World War II Los Angeles and chronicles Detective Cole Phelps' rise through the ranks of the LAPD. The story of LA Noire centers around violence, adult themes such as crime, war, pride, corruption, and morality under the legal system. LA Noire is a third-person open-world game that has you utilize a system of finding clues and using them to interrogate suspects to ultimately close cases. There are car chases, foot chases, and a combat system that utilizes both melee and shooting. So the game starts out with Phelps on patrol, and he gradually works his way through the beat, doing good work until he happens upon the case that is the catalyst to his jump into the detective bureau. The last case of the patrol desk is particularly interesting, as it immediately dives into the dark reality of American history. A man named Mr. Gage is shot and killed in broad daylight. Upon further investigation, Phelps finds a gun and can trace it to a gun store, and finds the address of the person it is registered to, and he finds out it's registered to one named Edgar Kalu. You proceed to try and question Mr. Kalu at his place of business, and he proceeds to flee. You catch him, and you take him to, downtown or the police station to interrogate him. It is in the interrogation that we find out that the crime was one of passion that was triggered by anti-Semitic discrimination. In a rage, Mr. Kalu killed Everett Gage because he was an anti-Semite, denying his business an opportunity to thrive. Mr. Gage, or Edward Gage, he sat on the board of a business committee, or he was in a position to deny Mr. Kalu the opportunities his business was looking for. It is in the interrogation that we find out the crime was one of passion. So getting the actual confession was very intense. Kalu and Phelps hurl slurs at one another.
You fasting for Yom Kippur, Mr. Kalu?
Yeah, let's change the subject, you going motherfucker. How about baseball?
You're not denying you're a Jew, Mr. Kalu.
This is America. It's not Germany. It's not a crime.
Some people don't like Jews, Mr. Kalu.
Yeah, and I guess you're one of them.
Gage hated Jews, didn't he, Mr. Kalu?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You left-wing leaning parasite. You expect me to sit here and listen to your drivel?
You call me that? You sit there and you call me those names, you goddamn goy putt snatcher? You and that stup Gage!
Why did you do it, Mr. Kalu?
Gage. He's in the Chamber of Commerce. He's in with all those momsers. He blocked every proposal I ever put forward. Kike this and kike that. He's been trying to ruin my business for years.
Edgar Kalu, I'm charging you with the first-degree murder of Everett Gage. I respect your beliefs and your right to hold them. I hope for your sake the jury can commute to murder in the second degree.
Team Bondi captures the climate of America in 1947 and the open anti-Semitic sentiments that have been pervasive throughout American history. Tropes such as Jews being communists and corrupt lenders, etc., are fleshed out in this game. It's ironic, given the current conflicts abroad and the supposed rise of anti-Semitism, this game dives into what exactly anti-Semitism has looked like historically. This case is what gets Phelps promoted, and so he moves on from patrol to the traffic division as a detective. Up to this point, on the surface, we have the story of a rising star in the LAPD, a family man who's making moves and who is a decorated war hero. Phelps was a first lieutenant in the Marine Corps and served in the Pacific. But the reality wasn't as it seemed. Phelps never wanted to talk about his time in the service with his partners, and it seemed as though some resented the war hero facade. Cole seems to have this pursuit of glory and fame, and his persistence in his detective work is something we will see rub some people the wrong way. Phelps' first traffic case is a success, and his star continues to grow. As you go, the cases get more serious. There was one of a hit and run that was really just cover for a homicide. So a woman has her husband stabbed to death and throws him out in front of a car. That car proceeds to flee the scene of the crime, and your initial person of interest is the driver of the car. But as you further, look at the crime scene better, you find the murder weapon, and you uncover fraud and a conspiracy to commit murder because the wife had planned to kill her husband with her lover, and then they were going to claim the insurance money, and they did the whole throw him in front of a car to make it look like a hit and run, but obviously they got caught. Phelps seemed to have turned nothing into something. As a result, his legend kept growing, right? So to me, the most interesting case on the traffic desk came during the chapter it's called The Fallen Idol. This case dives deep into the corruption of Hollywood and the depravity that had been hiding behind the scenes. The Fallen Idol has you report to the scene of an accident right across the street. The car accident involving a billboard. In this instance, we have a washed up actress and a teenage girl who we do subsequently find out is a runaway aspiring actress. June Ballard is the washed up actress in question, and after questioning her, we find out that producer Mark Bishop had attempted to murder Jessica and June. We proceed and go to the hospital and question Jessica. She proceeds to describe to Phelps the way in which she was taken advantage of and was being convinced that exchanging sexual favors for producers would be a way to jumpstart her career. It was sad because Jessica believed in June and defended her. She wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but alas, she realizes that she's caught up in more than she bargained for. June was looking to blackmail Mark Bishop so that she can get a movie role in his new film, but he had other plans. And so instead of dealing with the blackmail, he decided killing them would be easier. This was a mistake on Bishop's part because now he had June's husband, Guy McCaffrey, and his goons pursuing him, looking to get revenge. Phelps is now trying to get to the bottom of everything. He's certain of a few things. A girl was sexually assaulted, and he knows June Ballard and Mark Bishop are behind it. So we have blackmail, shady deals, double cross, all factoring into this mission. So the mission has us interrogate Mark Bishop's wife as a person of interest. Not a person of interest, but someone who can give us clues to help us get to the bottom of the situation. We discover that she's aware of how Hollywood functions, and she admits that although her husband likes young girls, he's nothing compared to some of the monsters you find in Hollywood. She ultimately gives you the clues you need to find Marlon Hopgood at the silver screen props. It's here you discover that he's the one who films the producers sleeping with young girls, and you get him to admit that June wanted the video of Bishop and Jessica as insurance for her movie role. Upon attempting to arrest Hopgood, an advice detective, advice being administrative vice, it's Roy Earl who shows up and tells you that Hopgood is their informant and you have to let him go. And you go outside and you proceed to get into a shootout with some vice detectives. This is your first major brush with corruption that seems to be prevalent in the LAPD. You proceed to follow Mark Bishop to a movie set. You save him from Guy McCaffrey's goons, and you manage to snag an arrest, and the chapter ends with another promotion.
Now this is what I call a result. Mark Bishop, erstwhile film producer, an all-around piece of shit, catches a fast ticket to Quentin for statch rape and attempted murder, so he gets to spend the next 15 years playing sissy instead of sticking it to little girls. That is justice with a capital J, Detective Phelps. You developed such a reputation, I'm not going to be able to hold on to you any longer. You're getting promoted. Go on, get your new assignment. It was good working with you, son.
Phelps, Bukowski, this your work?
Can I help you, Detective?
Sorry, Cap. Didn't see you there.
Yeah, I'll bet you did. This is a traffic case. You need something?
I'm here to buy a drink for the 2 LAPD traffic cops who broke the back of Guy McCaffrey's private army. You don't have a problem with that, do you, Captain?
Go right ahead.
Get in. I'm buying. You'll like this place. A lot of movie people hang out here. You like jazz, Cole? The hopheads love it.
Sure, I guess.
Big bands and swing, I can understand, but this bebop palaver? How are you supposed to dance to that? This is Phelps, Leroy. Be nice to him. You'll like this place. They treat you right.
You like a table, Roy?
What do you think we want to do? Stand at the bar like
I'll
chumps?
get a table ready for you then.
Don't look so happy to see me, Alphonse. I might get the wrong impression. Cole, this is Alphonse. He's a French Negro from Africa. Can you beat that?
The Congo.
A pleasure to meet you, Alphonse. Is Elsa singing tonight?
There she is. She has the next set.
Come on, Cole. You can meet Elsa while they're fixing us a table. You'll like her. She's something else.
Maybe another night, Roy. She's pretty beat up about it.
Get your hands off me. Don't ever tell me what to do or what not to do, Alphonse. You got a nice club here. Don't spoil it.
If you will follow me, detectives. Just through the door.
was my only real friend, Harlan. We went through it all. Do you realize what he meant to me?
Of course I do.
You have no idea. You said it was construction work.
It was an industrial accident, Elsa. How can I be held responsible?
Elsa, are you going on?
Louis, for God's sake, he was my best friend. The only man who ever loved me without putting his hands on me.
Hi, Elsa. Here's someone I'd like you to meet. Cole Phelps, war hero and crime fighter extraordinaire.
And why would I want to meet another fascist from the LAPD?
Sorry about this, Cole. What an evening I'm having. First a Negro puts his hands on me, and then this. Who do you think you're talking to, you German junkie whore? Don't you ever forget your place with me again. Do you hear me? Evening, Doc. How's business?
Sanguine. Louis, help me here. I'm gonna have to give her something before her performance.
Blow it off, Cole. These artsy-fartsy types always get a little flighty. Meet Dr. Harlan Fontaine, doctor to the stars. Mr. Fix-It to the mental wreckage of Hollywood. So what about that drink, boys?
Given the current landscape of things, like the Me Too movement and Harvey Weinstein, and now, like, the Diddy situation, LA Noire dives deep into something that has been prevalent in the movie and music industry for quite some time now. This section of the game seemed like commentary to the things that we already knew happened behind the scenes. This game took many life examples of things that occurred in Los Angeles in the time period, and simply twisted it to fit the story. But we will see in Homicide some of the depravity and corruption that has consumed the city of Los Angeles. Upon being promoted to Homicide, the werewolf murders, also known as the Dahlia murders, are the focus of the next chapter. You and your partner, Rusty Galloway, butt heads a lot, as he feels most of these murders are domestic violence situations, while Phelps believes that the Dahlia killer may still be active in the area. Now, one of the major themes of the game seems to be Phelps and his perceived pursuit of glory, always wanting to make a headline or break a major case. And like I said earlier, this rubbed some people the wrong way. The first two homicides you encounter seem to be unrelated to the Dahlia killer, and the suspect was nabbed in both instances. But then you receive a coded letter from the Dahlia killer. Cole begins to see the connections in the homicides, while your partner continues to downplay it. Such is his predisposition. The reality is that although Phelps is solid, there's a lot of lazy police work that happens, and often the worry is appeasing the DA and media rather than getting to the bottom of matters. We see this front and center as they arrest a bunch of innocent men while the BD killer was out and about just teasing the department. The MO was to either find some creep that happened to be around the crime or the husband. This seemed to be the go-to options by both Rusty and even Donnelly, who is your boss in the homicide department. The most interesting homicide case, in my opinion, was the studio secretary murder. It ties into a lot of talk of communism, and the fate of the victim was truly a tragic one. In the car on your way to the crime, Phelps and Rusty are talking about China and their communist revolution, or the civil war that was going on between Mao and the nationalist forces, right? Chiang Kai-shek, which is now what we know as Taiwan, right? So you had Mao and the communist forces fighting the nationalists. The nationalists end up leaving, and they establish what is now Taiwan.
Read that those goddamn Chinese want to sell the relief food that we're sending them?
Yeah, I read about that.
Those people are starving. They can't do that.
They want to sell the food to fund the civil war against the communists.
Really? Guess that's okay then.
Armies can't fight without food. Spend all your money on weapons, but you still have to have the will to fight. Fortunately, the Reds will win in China.
Watch your mouth. You know what you're saying?
The people of this country overthrew a king. You think the Chinese will balk at an emperor if they are starving?
Your first stop after having looked over the crime scene was Mensch's bar. Here you encounter Grosvenor McCaffrey, a patron at the bar that Evelyn had frequented. When you begin to question him, he quickly tells you about James Tierney and his relationship with Evelyn, looking to paint him as the suspect. He also proceeds to downplay how well he knew Evelyn, and we find out he has a record for involvement with labor disputes and deduce that he has communist sympathies.
What's your name?
Grosvenor McCaffrey.
Mind if I ask you some questions, Mr. McCaffrey?
I'm just a starving writer, Detective. What do you want to ask about?
Evelyn Summers, and why she was found beaten and strangled in the rail depot on Santa Fe.
Okay. I see your point.
How well did you know her?
I can't say that I knew her. It was more like I was aware of her.
Did you see Evelyn last night?
No, I was at home, writing.
Do you want to get dragged into this, McCaffrey? Do you want us to get interested in you?
She hung out with this powder puff, James Tiernan. They haunted the public library together.
How well do you know James Tiernan?
I know he works some kind of plebeian job at Rawlings Bowling Alley.
Rawlings. I know that place. Corner of 9th and Graham. A lot of cops bowl there on Tuesday nights.
Do you have a criminal record, Mr. McCaffrey?
Nothing serious. I've had a few skirmishes.
Do you want to save me some time, or do you want me to look up your file?
Industrial disputes, strikes, workers' rights, that kind of thing.
A regular fifth columnist. Nice to meet you, comrade.
Thank you for the information, Mr. McCaffrey.
This isn't significant to the plot, but it was something of note for me and the way in which the Red Scare paranoia tied into the plot of LA Noire. We proceed to find where exactly Evelyn was staying. The owner of a liquor store, Walter Robbins, was letting her keep a bed in the back of the shop.
What can I do for you?
LAPD, Phelps and Galloway. We're making inquiries into the murder of Evelyn Summers.
Evelyn? She's dead?
You knew Evelyn Summers, Mr.
Robbins. Yes, I knew Evelyn. I was a good friend of her ex-husband. She kept some of her stuff here.
Can you show us, please?
Sure. Come this way.
You got some fine stock here, Mr. Robbins. You know, you let us take some for the road, this case might get solved a lot quicker.
He's joking, Mr. Robbins.
She kept a bed here, but I probably shouldn't have let her. An alcoholic in a liquor store, that was never going to work out, was it?
We'll take a look around. And she was borrowing books from Grosvenor McCaffrey. We're trying to account for Evelyn's movements yesterday.
She came by in the morning.
A social visit? To pick up some of her things?
She had a couple of bucks and bought a quart of rye.
Any idea where the money came from?
She didn't mention it, but she did say the booze was a present for a boy. She said they had been fighting and she had to make it up to him.
Were you and Evelyn close, Mr. Robbins?
Not many people will be sad she's gone. I'll be one of the few.
We got the impression that Evelyn had been sleeping rough of late.
It became difficult for me to have her stay here. Her mother was trying to get her back on the straight and narrow. She's old now. And to be honest, you have to have a good reason to want to get back on.
Do you know a friend of Evelyn's by the name of McCaffrey?
Not personally.
She talked about McCaffrey.
Supposedly he fought in the International Brigade in Spain and in the miners' strikes back in Virginia.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Robbins.
No problem. Hey, I'd like to make arrangements for the funeral. You think I could get in touch with Evelyn's mother?
Put in a call to the watch commander at Central Station, Mr. Robbins. He'll be trying to reach the next of kin.
Thanks. Get the guy, huh? Evelyn never hurt anybody.
He notes that it probably was a bad idea to have an alcoholic in the back of a liquor store, not for a lack of trusting her, more so not wanting to enable her vice. He had sympathy for her and wanted to give her a proper burial in coordination with her mother, and it was clear that he thought very highly of her. As you look for clues, you find a book belonging to no other than Grosvenor McCaffrey. This makes it evident that Grosvenor was lying about the extent to which he knew Evelyn. We come to find out that she idolized McCaffrey, meanwhile he loathed her. While this mission is unraveling, we keep getting clues from the Dahlia killer, which adds a layer of confusion to all the cases we've investigated thus far, as it's obvious that a mess is going to unravel as a bunch of innocent men are awaiting trial for murder. Once we gather enough evidence to work with, we book McCaffrey. In the interrogation room, he refers to Evelyn as a lush, and a boring one at that. When you tell him about the Aristotle book found in Evelyn's possession, he gets livid at the fact that she must have snagged it from his apartment and damn near confesses to potentially killing her, but stops in his tracks.
You told us you barely knew Evelyn Summers.
She hung around sometimes. I had very little to do with her.
You'll have to do better than that, Grosvenor. We know about you and Evelyn.
Evelyn was a lush, and a boring one at that. You can't link her to me.
We know that you thought enough of her to loan out your copy of the Metaphysics.
I what? I did no such thing. That bitch stole that book from my apartment. The impudent fucking moron.
And that made you angry?
Angry? I was livid. Looking up at me with that stupid face of hers, begging me to forgive her. Aha. Very good. That's one to you, Detective.
It's either going to be you or Tiernan, Grosvenor.
Make it stick, Detective. The party has good lawyers.
We find some damning evidence in McCaffrey's past, and we're able to connect a violent outburst of his past to the current investigation into the murder of Evelyn Summers. I think it's important to note that McCaffrey is a terrible representation of the type of person who would have communist sympathies. He was an abuser, a serial abuser, and he was a pompous ass. It's unfortunate that Evelyn had crossed paths with him because she deserved a better fate. She was a gentle soul who happened to be down on her luck, and she had the unfortunate fate of finding interest in a person who would subsequently end her life. I dislike that the developers of the game made McCaffrey the communist of the game. I reiterate how bad of a representation he is. Further, I think the game does a really good job at highlighting an era in LA history that was very reactionary and violent towards women, minorities, and the poor. There's a serial killer on the loose, and Rusty wants to act like some dude probably just decided to kill his wife. That's how much women were hated. It's disgusting, and frankly, Phelps did a hell of a job of getting all the victims in this game justice to the best of his ability. That's why I push back a bit on the idea that Phelps was just chasing glory. I feel a theme here is Phelps atoning for his failures of the past. I know this is a fictional game, but a lot of these scenarios are inspired by real life events that occurred around this time period. So the following mission after that one has you pursue the Dahlia killer. He, leaves another clue laid out for you. From that clue, you find out that he's kind of taking you on a scavenger hunt throughout the city. This part of the game was interesting as it has you go all over landmarks in Los Angeles and adds to the cinematic element that the game strongly leaned on. The end of the chapter would leave a lot to be desired. You track the Dahlia killer down to a church, and you proceed to chase him down into a catacomb, and eventually, you engage in a shootout with the killer.
An altar boy.
There's a light coming from the house.
Nothing hasty, gentlemen. Keep your hands where I can see them, or I'll be forced to redecorate the stucco with your entrails.
We're from the LAPD, sir. I'm gonna tell you only once to lower your weapon.
The LAPD, you say? Is it really possible you could have found me after all this time? How interesting.
Put down the gun, shitbird. Last warning.
This boorish ignoramus could never have found me. It was you, wasn't it? Remember me, Detective?
The temp bartender.
Yes, you found me. You know what I'm capable of, and yet you walk in here like lambs dressed for the slaughter.
We'll see about that. Where's the press, Cap? I think Phelps and I should get a medal for this. This has got to be the case of the year, right? The case of the century when you think about it.
You finished?
Yes, Skipper.
Good. Because there won't be any press briefings or commendations.
What are you talking about? We got the werewolf, the guy who killed the Dahlia, killed all the other broads.
You got no one. Mason was a ghost.
Can you at least tell us why, Captain?
Mason is the half-brother of one of the most highly elected officials in this country.
How high?
Beyond the moon for mere mortals like us, Rusty. There'll be no more mention of him. The city owes you both, but there'll be no mileage in ever bringing this up again.
What's going to happen to the suspects in the cases, Captain? I won't be a part of that.
A bit of missing evidence at the grand jury. A procedural error here, a mistake there. They'll all be quietly let go. The DA knows how we'll have to play it.
That's it?
I'm afraid it is. And I have some news for you, Phelps. No more rooting around in the entrails of cadavers and corpses for you. The head of Vice has asked the chief for you. I'm reluctant to see you go to the glory boys of advice, but my hands are tied. Go home to that lovely wife of yours and celebrate your promotion.
Again, we get a taste of the type of corruption that has always been a fixture of our system. Things begin to pick up when we get pulled to administrative vice. We begin to investigate a surge in morphine overdoses as we start to get the bigger picture of the Los Angeles underground. We understand that the leader of said underground is Mickey Cohen and his syndicate. In the case, The Setup, we see that Mickey was in on fixed boxing matches. So we kind of get to understanding that he was a mobster that ran all the rackets in LA. Around this same time, Phelps is also starting to uncover the fact that some of the Marines he served with in Okinawa were involved in a major morphine ring. And this puts them in the crosshairs of Cohen and his syndicate.
Couldn't you think anywhere else to meet, kid?
We like to choose our ground.
What is that supposed to mean? Huh?
It's something Wellington said at Waterloo. The guys who win normally choose where to fight.
Are we gonna fight, kid? The two of you versus my boys here? I love the fight game. I went a few rounds myself. You and your friend, he looks tough, but I don't like your chances. Nah.
We don't have to fight, Mr. Cohen. We have you in enfilade.
What the fuck is that? Some kind of stake?
It means my men are in cover, but that they can still shoot you.
If those were my orders, you would all be dead now.
Are you kidding me? This is a $200 coat. You got some balls.
Kelso.
I hope you didn't scratch the paint of my new Lincoln.
These guys are getting out of the dope business, Mr. Cohen. You'll have no more problems from them. The morphine is going to disappear back into the sea.
Hang on. You're getting hasty. There's a lot of dough on offer here.
Thanks for the offer, Mr. Cohen, but we are going to have to politely decline. After today, the morphine is no more.
This isn't the way we normally do business.
I'm aware of that, Mr. Cohen.
Call me Mickey. Are you aware of the risk, huh?
I'm giving it to you straight, Mr. Cohen. There will be no more morphine. We made a mistake and would like to back out gracefully. If you come after us, we will be forced to come after you.
You've been polite up till now, so don't stop making threats.
I don't make threats, Mr. Cohen. I'd like to thank you for your time.
Is that guy your idea of muscle, kid?
There's something you should know about Jack, Mr. Cohen. He killed 6 Japs hand to hand with just a bayonet and a K-bar knife. His outfit, the 6 Marines, killed over 100,000 Japs in 3 months in Okinawa, and he was in the thick of it.
Those Japs are little guys, right?
Yes, Mr. Cohen. About your size.
The most important mission of the Advice Desk is Manifest Destiny, as the developments of the game hit a climax in this chapter. This part of the story is very complex and gives the 50 Shades of Grey that is the man Cole Phelps. We know, as the player, that Courtney Sheldon is involved in the morphine ring, and he's gotten involved other men from his battalion. We understand Courtney is being manipulated by his professor, Harlan Fontaine. Jack Kelso is also aware about what is happening, although he isn't involved, and he's also not willing to tell on his soldiers, on his Marines, on his men. I think another important thing to note is the character behind Jack Kelso. We don't get to know who Jack Kelso is till later in the game, but through some of the flashbacks we get to see the antagonisms between him and Cole Phelps. There's a particular clip in which Jack Kelso and a bunch of the other men, I guess in the company or battalion, I don't know how the Marine Corps break that down, but they're getting ready for leave, and they've got, like, they're checking their room, their gun, and everything to make sure it's clean and spotless. And essentially, Kelso gets pushed into a position where he's being forced to redo something because the commanding officer just wants to belittle him. And he refuses. And as a result, they lose their leave. That goes to show you a lot about Jack Kelso's character, not backing down and just generally trying to do the right thing, even if it's going to bring consequences that he wasn't bargaining for.
In Los Angeles in a bomber factory. They're coming down to visit. I'm meeting them at the station at 6.
Good for you, Jack. Are they cute?
They're my sisters, Hank. Attention! Final inspection before liberty. Good job, Kelso.
Are we going somewhere, gentlemen? Full inspection. It had better be exceptional if any of you want liberty this weekend. Kelso, this carbine. The bore is dirty.
No, it isn't.
Are you arguing with me, Kelso?
Do what you need to do, Sergeant. You know the bore is immaculate.
Weekend liberty canceled. 2-day field drill. Clean this rifle.
No.
Do you know the penalty for insubordination, Kelso?
Jack, don't do it.
Forget him, Hank. He doesn't have what it takes.
Are you two finished? Are you going to clean this rifle?
No, Sergeant. Cole is right. I'm going to stop playing games and join a rifle company and fight the real enemy. Breathe out, kid. You'll go purple.
I'm scared, Sarge.
Everybody's scared, kid. Anyone who says he isn't is a damn liar.
How many times have you been in combat, Sarge?
I was with Raider Battalion on Peleliu my first time.
Was it bad?
It's always bad.
Will this be bad?
As bad as it gets, kid. But you stick by the Marine next to you and he will stick by you.
So, some of the guys, they aren't very friendly, Sarge.
They've lost a lot of their friends in the last couple of days, kid. They think if they don't get to know you that they won't have to grieve for you if you get killed. They're wrong. It doesn't work that way. Don't worry. No Marine in this company will let you down.
Through those videos, you get an exact look at Jack Kelso's character. You start to understand the tension amongst the former Marines and Cole Phelps, and ultimately his rise in the LAPD and the star and everything, because they know in reality that he was just a kiss-ass. He was just a kiss-ass, right? Officer who was ultimately going to go send men to go die. When push came to shove, either which way you spin it, he didn't do a good job. And Kelso had true leadership qualities that ultimately he'll get his mission done and he'll save as many men as he can. Like, that's Jack Kelso. And you even see it in the Flash when he's talking to Mickey Cohen and he's ultimately saying, if you mess with my boys, like, we will kill you. Like, we don't play that. We see the destruction in the following case. It really is just like a battle of the corruption and those who are being used to go fight wars, fight imperialist wars. Like, I think this is the deepest part of the story of LA Noire here, is these Marines who were used to fight a war for rich men are ultimately put in a position to come back home and try to take a chance. You cross Mickey Cohen in the process. Instead of taking care of your Marines, you have them desperate enough to do things like that. So Jack Kelso, even though he had nothing to do with it, he was always going to be there to try to get his boys out of it. We see in this next chapter that, you know, he can only do so much. Having made this move, Courtney put all his fellow Marines in a very compromising position as one by one, Cohen and his goons systematically go after the Marines in a show of force, having taken exception to someone trying to get involved in one of his rackets.
Bad luck, eh? Okinawa couldn't kill you, but knowing the wrong people in this city.
Detectives, KGPL's going crazy. Shots fired at 1384 North Bronson. Some guy with an automatic spraying a Hollywood bus. They want every car. Go!
He ran the light on Olympic.
Officers need help at 1384 North Bronson. 1384 North Bronson. Shots fired. Any units to handle identified. Code 3.
I know that guy. Felix Alvaro.
He's one of the guys from the ship?
His name was on the manifest.
Looks like McGoldrick wasn't the only one to get a message.
Hey, Alvaro.
Hey, Lieutenant.
He's just a plain detective now, Chico.
Who's the jughead?
This is my partner, Roy Earl. We just want to find out what happened.
What happened is that someone took a shot at my bus. And then cops turned up and started treating me like I'm some sort of Pachuco punk. My people have been in California for over 300 years.
Very fucking admirable, Felix.
You hear anything about the big heist on the Coolidge?
Yeah, I heard about it.
So what happened?
Not much. The cops came and interviewed me and all the other guys on the ship.
I was down at the 111 Club this morning, waiting for the medical examiner to scrape Eddie McGoldrick's brains off the bar. You want to tell me anything about that?
I heard that Eddie came into some money. Too bad he didn't keep a low profile. It's a tough break to get through Okinawa and then have to buy it back home.
Who's shooting at you, Felix?
How the fuck do I know?
The dead guy on the roof works for Mickey Cohen. Why would Cohen want you dead?
Man, I don't know anything about Mickey Cohen or any of those gangsters.
Your name was in the sniper's notebook. Level with me, Felix.
Cohen thinks because we were on the boat, we have the morphine. Courtney's meeting those guys to sort it out.
Courtney Sheldon?
Yeah. You remember Sheldon, don't you, Cole?
We'll be in touch, Felix.
You heard that Jack is in LA?
I saw his name on the manifest.
He's been here a couple of months. Sure glad to see you got over your wound, Lieutenant. I mean, Detective.
Pretty cool customer.
He's been under fire before.
You buying his story?
Not for a minute.
Phelps wants to get to the bottom of it because he doesn't want more Marines to die, as he already has a guilty conscience for having allowed enough Marines to die in the past. But Phelps also just has a knack for getting to the bottom of things. Hoping to get to the bottom of things, Phelps decides to find and interrogate Jack Kelso. Meanwhile, Jack Kelso is unwilling to talk to Phelps about what he may know because he feels all Phelps wants is more glory for himself and that there is just ulterior motive. The whole time, a larger conspiracy is brewing from right under their noses.
A bunch of Marines could muscle in on the dope rackets in this town? Between the Vice Squad and the mob, I hear it's pretty sewn up.
You better watch your mouth.
Did you know that Eddie McGoldrick recently came into money and bought a nightclub?
No, I didn't know that.
Then you didn't know that some mobsters blew his brains out last night?
No, I didn't.
You heard that a crate of BARs went missing?
No, I didn't.
I saw Felix Alvaro today.
Good. How was he?
A little pale. One of Mickey Cohen's goons had emptied about 60 BAR rounds into the bus he was driving. A public bus, in the middle of Hollywood. Are you going to tell me what's going on? Or do more innocent people have to die?
Yeah, and what's in it for you, Cole? Newspapers? More glory? Another promotion? Another medal at the expense of men who fought for their country? Count me out.
What do you know about the Army surplus robbery from the Coolidge, Jack?
What I know is that on 3 separate occasions, you would have been dead if it weren't for me. I don't know anything about the robbery.
People are dying because morphine intended to help servicemen is being used on the street. Now we have guys from our old unit being killed by mobsters. We can put 2 and 2 together, Jack.
Gratitude isn't a concept that has much effect on you, is it, Cole?
Answer the question, Jack. Let's get this over with.
I was interviewed when the robbery took place. I don't have anything further to add.
Jack, we just want information.
Bullshit, Cole. Did you seriously believe that dragging me down here would get me to give up my own guys? You call yourself a Marine? Trying to make a name for yourself with this shitheel? Look at this chump with his $200 suit and $2,000 car.
The tough guy act is really impressive. I like you, Jack. I'd like to make you for this. I really would. I'm going to be working on it and keeping an eye on you. You can go now.
Shooting, Robert Steiner, 6780 West Sunset Boulevard. The victim is a Chris Majowski.
Another name from the manifest?
From top to bottom, there's essentially a plot to make a big profit in the real estate games from some big players in the city. From the soldiers being convinced to steal morphine and guns from the SS Coolidge, to the fact that Cole Phelps is set up by Roy Earl. A bigger conspiracy was at play. Roy Earl spied on Phelps, cheating with German jazz musician Elsa Lichman, and served Phelps up as a sacrifice to distract the media of the corruption happening at the highest levels of the city government in Los Angeles. Further, this was a move to take Phelps off the trail. As a result, Phelps was shamed and he loses his family, and although he didn't lose his badge, he was demoted to arson.
Roy, in my office, if you please.
I'm working a major case. I'm not close, Cap. It's gonna have to wait.
Let Phelps do the interrogation.
But, Cap.
No buts. This is more important.
You too, Phelps.
There's a quack in there with him.
What gives?
Beats me.
Sheldon, is this your attorney?
No, Detective. This is Dr. Harlan Fontaine. He came down here to help me out.
How do you do, sir?
You stole the morphine from the Coolidge.
You can't prove that.
Let's see if I can try. And what is your relationship to Sheldon, sir?
Tutor, mentor. Mr. Sheldon is a medical student of mine. He has a very bright future.
Oh, that's nice to know. Too bad all of your war buddies won't get to see your graduation. I would have asked Beckett or Majewski or Driscoll about their involvement, but that's difficult, considering they're all dead. That leaves you, Sheldon.
You can't blame their deaths on me, Phelps.
You're lying, Courtney. The other guys aren't smart enough to attempt something like this. You either give it up, or I go after Jack for it.
And how do you prove that, Cole?
We know about your showdown with Cohen. We found notes on your guys.
Cohen is hitting our old unit. He believes we have the morphine. I told him that we don't have it. And that's the truth. Isn't it, Doc?
I believe Mr. Sheldon. I think he's telling the truth, Detective.
You were on the ship, Sheldon.
Yes, that's correct.
So you had opportunity.
But it doesn't mean that I was involved.
So you don't mind that the mob executed McGoldrick, Driscoll, and Beckett to get to you?
I don't know why you're trying to pin this on me. Where's your proof?
Beckett had a message for you before he died. Bad luck. It was worth a try.
I feel bad about Beckett, Phelps. He was a hard charger. Those guys deserve more. I don't blame them for taking their shot.
Have you finished, Detective?
I'm just getting started. You have an answer for everything, Courtney. Let's hope Jack does, because now I'm going after him. Is there anyone you're not prepared to sacrifice?
Jack is not in this. He's a good guy.
You or Jack, Courtney. I don't care who goes to jail. I just want the morphine off the street.
What are you offering, Cole?
Don't be ridiculous, son. This man is gambling.
What's your offer?
Doctor, good to see you.
I'm conducting an investigation.
Upstairs in my office now.
This man is about to confess.
As of now, you're suspended from duty, pending a fitness review.
What are you talking about?
You heard the man, Phelps. Upstairs and face the music like the hero you were. You certainly had us fooled, Detective. Phelps, you're one of my favorite sons. You've broken this old man's heart.
Sir, what is going on here?
You're suspended, Phelps. Hand over your badge and gun.
Don't keep him waiting.
What is going on here?
Your wife's attorney has pictures of you and the German. Compromising pictures, lad.
She's pressing charges. You'll be formally charged with adultery. A criminal cannot serve as an LAPD officer, as I'm sure you're aware.
I don't understand.
How could you do it, lad? Your wife, your children, consorting with the enemy and a dope fiend at that. You're lucky the war is over. You'd be taken out and shot.
The department doesn't need this kind of publicity, Phelps. Hand over the gun, keep your head down until your board hearing. I forbid you to make any comments to the press.
What the hell were you thinking?
Marie, listen, Marie, I need to explain.
Please leave. You're upsetting the girls.
Let me see them, Marie. They're my daughters.
Go to her, Cole. You have done enough damage here. Do you want me to call the police?
For God's sake, Marie. Can't we at least talk?
What is there to talk about? Do you love her? Do you? What were you thinking? What about our children? Can you imagine what this has been like for them? Go away, Cole. My father has hired an attorney and you will be hearing from him.
I'd like to explain, Marie. I'd like to tell you what I've been going through.
What you've been going through. I have had reporters camped out on the front lawn all morning. I can't stand it, Cole.
What is it?
A letter from Lou. His insurance policy named me beneficiary.
California Fire and Life. You worked for Elysian?
The roof that he was working on collapsed.
It's a very generous settlement. Elsa, I'd like you to do something for me. I think there's something dirty about Elysian Fields.
What has that got to do with Lou?
I want you to reject this settlement. I want you to go and see an investigator named Jack Kelso and ask him to make some inquiries about Lou's case.
Isn't this police work?
Do you want to find out what happened to Lou?
Why would he help, this Kelso?
Jack won't be able to help himself if he smells a rat.
He is a friend of yours?
He hates my guts. Elsa, you could take this money and let them get away with it, or we could get Jack's help and do something about it.
Why not be honest with this man, Cole? He deserves your honesty if you want his help.
Believe me, Elsa, I'd like to level with him. I really would, but it's too late. Years too late.
Jack Kelso at the time is an investigator with California Fire and Life, and this is when Kelso and Phelps' paths cross. Phelps wants Jack to investigate the death of Elsa's friend, who she feels may have been a victim of foul play. Elsa plays it cool and doesn't let Kelso know that Phelps sent him, but she convinces Jack, about the conspiracy at play here and the potential of foul play. So now Kelso is looking to unravel this conspiracy as he digs deeper and gets to the bottom of this thing himself.
There's no need to come into the office, Miss Lichtman. If you accept the settlement, all you need to do is sign here.
I don't accept this.
What do you mean you don't accept? I think you're pushing your luck, lady. This seems to be a ridiculously generous settlement. A $200 policy with a $20,000 payout? You should...
I don't want the money.
What do you mean you don't want the money?
I want you to investigate this case. I feel my friend may have been the victim of foul play.
Okay. Let me get the case file. What basis do you have for your claim of foul play?
Lou Buckwalter was a craftsman. I don't believe he would have made a roof that would collapse.
You want me to reopen this case based on your woman's intuition? That isn't going to happen. Take the money.
I've already told you I do not want the money. There's something wrong with that house.
You and Buckwalter weren't married?
No.
Then how did you become his beneficiary?
We were family friends.
You expect me to reopen this case because you come in here walking that walk? Well, I'm not buying it. I think you should tell me what the hell is going on.
You really want to know?
Yes.
We were interned together on Ellis Island. Resident alien Germans whose parents had been killed by Nazis. Do you see the irony in that, Mr. Kelso? We spent 4 years there.
So the roof collapsed, accidents happen. What exactly are you trying to achieve here, Miss Lichtman?
Exactly what I said. I want that building thoroughly investigated.
I'm intrigued, Miss Lichtman. I really am. But you're going to have to give me something if you want me to get involved in this.
There is a conspiracy surrounding Elysian Fields and the new houses they are building. I believe your insurance company is involved.
That's pretty heady stuff, Miss Lichtman. Flimsy, but heady.
I've told you what I know, Mr. Kelso. What are you going to do about it?
All right, Miss Lichtman. One final question.
Yes.
What's your address?
Is that usual?
Is there anything usual about this case, Miss Lichtman?
The address is on the letter, Mr. Kelso.
The address, not the phone number.
Mr. Benson would like to see you in his office, Jack. Upstairs.
Mr. Benson, you wanted to see me?
Ah, yes, Jack. I'm just trying out a new putter. I noticed Elsa Lichtman in the lobby.
It's the weirdest thing, Mr. Benson.
Call me Curtis, Jack. This is California.
Like I said, Curtis, this is a very strange case.
How so, Jack?
That lady, Elsa Lichtman, is refusing a 20 grand payout.
Elsa Lichtman is hardly a lady, Jack. She's a jazz musician. Plays at the Blue Room in Hollywood. She has a fine pair of lungs, now that I think
She's
of it.
the beneficiary of this guy, Lou Buckwalter. He was killed in an industrial accident working for Elysian Fields Developments. You know Elysian?
I'm familiar with Leland Monroe. We move in similar circles.
Well, Miss Lichtman is making some pretty serious accusations. She says the case stinks and that
She's a
something
very
happened.
highly strung girl, Jack. Strung out might be a better way to put it.
It's a pretty generous payment, Curtis. I think I should look into it.
Is there anything wrong with the paperwork, Kelso?
No, there isn't, Mr. Benson.
I didn't think so. Pay the case out and get her off our backs.
I can't make her take the money,
Deal
sir.
with it, Jack. Do your fucking job. Do I have to do everything?
No, sir, you don't.
Fine, Jack. Fine. You know I have the greatest confidence in you.
Thanks, Mr. Benson. That's not how my pop taught me to mix it. Someone is cutting corners.
Hey! You just can't be walking around down here.
I'm Jack Kelso from California Fire and Life.
I don't care if you're from the Vatican. Buzz off.
I'm investigating the accidental death of a Lou Buckwalter, and...
You deaf? Do I have to beat on you?
Looks like you do.
Take another step this...
I came to see the house where Lou Buckwalter died. You were just about to offer to show me the way.
It's out the gate and 3 houses down on the left. Don't know what you're looking for, smart guy. There's nothing there.
Then I'll poke around in the rubble.
Fine. As long as you're out of my sight.
Keystone Films? Who gets their lumber from a film studio? see what the rich and powerful have to say for themselves.
In a great day for the future of Los Angeles, civic leaders and businessmen joined forces to launch the Suburban Redevelopment Fund. The Suburban Redevelopment Fund pledges to speed up housing development for returning GIs.
Gentlemen, this is Dr. Harlan Fontaine. He's our latest investor in the Suburban Redevelopment Fund. Doctor, this is Curtis Benson, and he's Vice President of the California Fire and Life.
Pleased to meet you, Doctor.
Ray Gordon, editor of the Times.
Doctor.
District Attorney Don Sandler and Police Chief Warren.
Gentlemen, I am delighted to be in such exalted company. You're making quite a name for yourself, Doctor, amongst the thespian fraternity. I find that those of artistic temperament are often of a fragile mental disposition. It's a short step from miscreant to recidivism, Doctor.
Very true. But I think we could all agree that the City of Angels does rather well basking in the reflection of the motion picture industry. Hear, hear. And it's something that every sucker getting off a train at Union Station wants a part of. Gentlemen, we're here to sell the American dream, and Hollywood is our greatest advertiser.
So, how is your new development selling, Leland?
Cannot throw them up fast enough, Ray.
And that's part of the problem, Leland. Washington is receiving steady complaints. There's a clamor for public
God damn it, Ray. Public housing is tantamount to communism. Now, that's why we fought this goddamn war. I'm telling you, it's Reds via the back door.
You can't have it both ways, Leland. The new freeways are being built to service all your developments out in the boondocks. They're all being built with government money. The GI Bill is government money.
There's a difference.
What difference?
The GI money ends up in my pocket.
I hope you mean our pockets, Leland. We're all investors.
Of course, Curtis. So, when will the freeway bond be passed on?
It still has to be ratified. It takes a long time to raise $3 billion.
I need to find a game well or... Operator, think you could put me through to police dispatch? Thanks.
Putting you through now.
This is Jack Kelso, investigator for California Fire and Life. Can you put me through to Curtis Benson, please?
Just a moment, please, Mr. Kelso.
Jack, how can I help?
Do you know anything about the Suburban Redevelopment Fund, Mr. Benson?
I've heard of them, Jack. Building new homes for GIs.
With green lumber that was used on movie sets.
Jack, are you working the Buckwalter case?
Mr. Benson, are you part of the Suburban Redevelopment Fund?
Jack, I want you to listen very clearly. Call Miss Lickman. Call her as soon as you hang up. Arrange to see her tonight and get her to agree to the settlement. Do it tonight. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
End of story, Jack. I don't want to hear another word about Elsa Lickman or Lou Buckwalter.
Can you put me through to Michigan 221?
Putting the call through. Hello?
Ms. Lichtman, it's Jack Kelso.
Yes, Mr. Kelso.
I've been looking into your case.
Yes, and what have you found?
It doesn't look good. I need to see you.
Meet me at the Blue Room. I work there tonight. I take a break around 9. I'll be waiting at the stage door. We can talk then. Auf Wiedersehen, Mr. Kelso.
Thanks for your help.
And don't suppose I'll make a plea, 'cause baby, you know I'm guilty.
What were you doing with him?
I was doing what you asked.
I didn't ask you to meet him in an alleyway.
Why do you snarl at me? Your friend came to ask me to accept the insurance.
He's not my friend, Elsa.
I think he's a brave man, and you have placed him in great danger. You've involved him in something, and he has no idea of the risk. Can you live with that, Cole?
Elsa, I need his help, and he hates my guts.
Forget the past, Cole. He deserves the chance to say no. If he helps you, let it be on his terms.
I'll go see him in the morning.
As he gets closer to what is going on, he begins to be persecuted and is nearly killed by goons being sent his way from the conspirators of the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
It's all dried up.
Get on with it.
What's your hurry, Mac? You got some place to go?
You ever do the cat and mouse routine without a gun in your hand?
Now that's more like it.
Let's put a few gaps. You should learn to take a hint. Get him downstairs and into the trunk.
Having survived the attack, Kelso manages to get himself to Elsa's, where she happened to be with Cole. He subsequently collapses, and he wakes up in a hospital bed with Elsa.
Sitting there.
Not long, Mr. Kelso.
You look lovely, Princess. You haven't exactly caught me at my best. It's okay, Miss Lipton. I'm a big boy. I know how to take my licks.
Please, call me Elsa.
Okay, Elsa? What can I do for you?
I'd like to explain because
I can join the dots, Elsa.
Cole needs your help, Jack. The police department have frozen him out.
Look, you're obviously a brave lady, but you can't fight all Cole's battles for him.
I just wanted to apologize for...
You don't have to apologize. You were right about Elysian Fields. Tell me something. What was Lou Buckwalter's regular job?
He was a carpenter. He built sets for RKO, Warner Brothers.
Set carpenter? Perfect. If you don't mind, Elsa, I'd like to get a little rest now. I've got a lot more dots to join, and it's making my head hurt.
That's perfectly understandable, Mr. Jack. I hope we can meet again under less dramatic circumstances.
I hope so too, Princess. I'd like that.
Elsa was the perfect character to unite Cole Phelps and Jack Kelso. It was because of her that they were able to come together and make amends and say their piece to the past, because essentially they both had a crush on her. Obviously Cole was with her, but Jack Kelso also developed a little bit of a crush on her just based off of her genuine nature and how kind-hearted she was. The whole reason why the conspiracy broke wide open was because they killed her best friend in the process of conspiring to make a lot of money. I think this is one of the important dynamics of the game, because while we have corruption within all levels of the government in this game, we have Elsa, who's like a German refugee. Her parents were killed by the Nazis, and she comes to America and she gets treated as if she was a Nazi, when the reality is she was literally fighting the Nazis from home, and she had to flee. And her best friend came, like she met her best friend at Ellis Island. That was the cost to her, you know? Jack Kelso and Cole Phelps came together to solve this for her, really. You know, in a larger picture, they're just fighting corruption here at home. So that's really like the deeper message here is, you know, the way they're fighting the corruption. It's something to strive for, you know? Although they try to paint Elsa as a bad person, she's really not. He's a really good person. So are Phelps and Kelso in their own ways. And yeah, I think it's just a beautiful way to kind of just tie things in and sort of make amends, kind of give Cole the redemption, just let everyone be at peace with the circumstance to the best of their ability, right?
I have a Detective Phelps of the LAPD here to see you.
Have a seat, Cole. Where's the go-between? She's awful easy on the eye for a foreign girl.
Does that private dick petter actually work on anyone, Kelso? It's not your style. You were always a little more direct.
This is your dime, officer.
Would you have helped me if I asked, Jack? A little chuck on the shoulder, shot of Semper Fi.
Fuck you, Cole. Be a man. Why send a woman to do your dirty work? You're a cop. Why do you want my help?
I thought a PI might be a little more discreet.
I'm no gumshoe. I used to be an investigator for this company before your investigation got me fired.
I'm sorry to hear that, Jack. I'm sorry about a lot of things.
Is that an apology, Cole?
It's a feeble attempt at one, yes. Look, Jack, it's a murder case, and I need help to solve it.
So what's it got to do with Elysian Fields developments?
They're in it somehow. The flyers keep turning up whenever I find a domestic fire.
They're boosters. Stiffing GIs for deposits, making them wait months for a throw-up house. They're already making more money than they can count. What's turned them into killers?
So you believe me?
This is why you dragged me into the Buckwalter case.
Look, Jack, I'm sorry. But if not for me, do it for some of the poor saps who are dying. Or some of the leathernecks who are getting grifted. How about it, Jack?
I know you, Cole. You're still beating yourself up over that medal on Sugarloaf. The medal you think you didn't deserve, but you just don't get it. Nobody deserves a medal. It's just the ridiculous situation you find yourself in and how you react to it. You think you failed up on that hill. But courage isn't a tap you can turn on or off. Courage isn't permanent. It's a tenuous and fickle thing. Courage and cowardice exist in every man. Get over it.
You got it off your chest.
I guess I have.
Can you help me, Jack?
I'm thinking about it. The Hall of Records is the place to start.
Kelso's investigation takes him to the Hall of Records, and it is here that he finds out that Courtney Sheldon is a part of the Suburban Redevelopment Fund, amongst a slew of powerful people like the mayor of Los Angeles, the district attorney, some dirty cops, and Harlan Fontaine. Kelso wants to figure out why. He confronts Courtney and tells him everything. At this point, putting the pieces together, it seems that Courtney might be the fall guy.
I need a word, Courtney.
That's okay, Jack. You didn't need to come all the way down.
It's important, Courtney.
How can I help?
Tell me about the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
What are you talking about?
Don't fuck with me, Courtney!
Jack, I swear, I don't know what you're talking about.
How does your name appear as one of the investors in the Suburban Redevelopment Fund?
You're out of your mind.
I was down at the Hall of Records checking on a property company called Elysian Fields Developments. Their funding comes from the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
Seriously, Jack, I have no idea.
Your name is there, Courtney, with some pretty interesting company. The mayor, the district attorney, some dirty cops, and your buddy, Dr. Harlan Fontaine.
Dr. Fontaine?
Spill it, Courtney. I want all of it. Fontaine and the rest.
Fontaine took the morphine off our hands. Look, Jack, I know you said to get rid of it, but it's okay. I did something good for once. He reinvested the money for us. That's it. That's what's happening. They're building houses for GIs, Jack. I turned a mistake into something beneficial. Something that's gonna help out the guys.
Courtney, they're building matchstick houses. They're going to burn them for the insurance money. They'll probably stiff the poor bastards for the deposits.
Please, Jack. Say it isn't so. Harlan's a doctor. A good one. He helps out a lot of people.
Looks like he's helping himself, Courtney. You're the fall guy.
Kelso and Phelps eventually learned from their investigations that the fund is merely a front to defraud the U.S. government. The syndicate had learned the proposed route for the Whitnall Parkway that was to go through the Wilshire district of the city, and they bought the land it would run through, and Leland Monroe then built communities of matchstick houses, while California Fire and Life falsely claimed that the land was of higher value, knowing the government would pay whatever the land was worth to gain eminent domain over it. It is revealed the stolen morphine was used by Harlan Fontaine to finance the fund. So that's where Courtney stealing the morphine comes full circle. He was used as an end for some very greedy, corrupt individuals to hit it big by committing fraud. Courtney confronts Harlan.
Dr. Fontaine, I need to speak with you urgently.
Sit down, please, sit down.
Tell me about the Suburban Redevelopment Fund.
It's the fund we are using to channel money into the development of new houses.
Why is my name on the board of managers?
Technically, you are a major contributor. Please, Courtney.
Those houses are a sham, Doctor. They're going to be burned for the insurance.
That's a scandalous allegation, Courtney. Do you have any proof?
Jack Kelso, an investigator for California Fire and Life, has seen them. He was almost killed when he found out what was going on.
I don't know what to say. I feel that I have been duped. Who do you think is behind this subterfuge?
Jack says it's a property developer named Monroe. He said it goes all the way to the mayor.
You cannot have believed that I was involved.
I don't know what to believe anymore, Doctor. I hope that you weren't involved.
Thank you for your trust, dear boy. Be still, Courtney. All of your troubles are finally over. Let them go. Let them drift away.
Good morning, Doctor.
And a good morning to you too, Elsa. You look radiant.
Thank you, Doctor.
We haven't been seeing much of you lately, Elsa. You've been missing appointments.
I'm sorry, Doctor. I've been feeling much better.
That's very good to hear. And what has brought about this improvement?
It's the new man in my life. He's convinced me to fight my addiction.
Ah, the policeman from the newspapers. How has he coped with his fall from grace?
He can finally see things from a human perspective, rather than the ivory tower he created for himself. It's making him stronger. It's making me stronger helping him.
You wouldn't make a bad analyst yourself, Elsa. Should we swap seats?
We're both finding we have a lot to live up to.
And what is that?
In my case, Lou. He went through hell along with me and still came out smiling. In Cole's case, his friend, Jack Kelso.
Kelso?
You've heard of him?
No, I just like the sound of his name.
Cole and Jack are working on a case together.
Is Jack a policeman too?
No, he works for the district attorney.
What?
He's a special investigator. I thought you didn't know him.
I have never met the gentleman in question.
He has been looking into Lou's case. Cole thinks it might be linked to some fires he's investigating. You look pale, Doctor.
It's cold in here, Elsa. I think I'll close the window.
Why are you looking at me like that, Elsa?
You arranged for Lou to work at Elysian Fields, Doctor.
Your fears are unfounded. I meet many people in my line of work. There are many ways that people can be helped. Finding them work is just one of them.
I don't believe you, Doctor. I've seen you with Monroe at the club.
I'm sorry that you have come to that conclusion, Elsa. I've always so enjoyed our conversation. I can see your future, Elsa. And Cole, the policeman. And Jack, the investigator. It's an unfortunate and grisly end.
I've come to help you, Doctor. To help you cross over. All your sins will be forgiven in the next life.
Further, Kelso discovers that the Suburban Redevelopment Fund had used Ira Hodgeboom, a former flamethrower operator who also served along Phelps, Kelso, and Courtney in Okinawa to help them with their plans. Hodgeboom, suffering from PTSD and schizophrenia after inadvertently killing a vast number of civilians on Phelps' orders, had been manipulated by Fontaine into torching the house of holdouts who refused to sell their property to the Suburban Redevelopment Fund, and eventually went insane after being tricked into incinerating a house that had an entire family inside.
A strange obsession. I know those faces. Jesus Christ, I know every one of them. Oh my God, Ira. You poor backward son of a bitch. Peterson, I'm going to need some help. I've got Monroe, Fontaine, and all the others. It's all tied up nicely. It goes all the way to the top. Meet me at the LA River Tunnel entrance just north of the First Street Bridge in half an hour. Don't ask questions. Just be there. This is DA's investigator Jack Kelso. I have an urgent radio message for Detective Cole Phelps.
So this sets up the finale. With the finale, what we see is Elsa went to go see Dr. Fontaine, who she had a working relationship with through the Blue Room. And after letting how much she knew about the conspiracy slip, Harlan knocks her unconscious, intending to kill her as he had Courtney. But before he can do anything else, Hodgeboom burst into the room and strangled Harlan to death, kidnapping Elsa afterward in an attempt to keep her safe from any other Suburban Redevelopment Fund collaborators. What ensues is a car chase as Jack Kelso is trying to get to the river tunnels to find Ira. Phelps is following him to assist him to get there because all the LAPD is out to stop him because the LAPD is bought off. After the chase, you go down to the tunnel. As Jack Kelso and Cole Phelps proceed into the tunnel to go and save Elsa, you see the assistant DA that Jack Kelso was working with start to cut a deal for the police chief, and everyone that was trying to stop them is now understanding it's a little too late. So they're trying to cut a deal, and we see those politics go down before we even fully know the resolution of what happens with what's going down in the tunnel. So that sets up for a very dramatic ending, and you guys will see just how it plays out. Obviously, if you've already seen it, you've seen it. If you haven't,
Disabled immediately. If necessary, use of deadly force is authorized.
All units, suspect vehicle headed west on 5th Street. Repeat, the Chevy Fleet Line Navy Blue, westbound on 5th Street.
Jesus Christ! How many cops do these guys own?
All units, we have a new suspect vehicle. It is shop number 13516. Repeating, shop 13516 is a second suspect vehicle, described as a green Hudson Commodore, license 3 Sam 0102, reported to be aiding suspect Jack Kelso. Use caution and continue pursuit. All units, stand by for further.
All units, suspect vehicle sighted heading northeast toward 3rd Street on the embankment between 3rd and 4th. All units, suspect vehicle is now northbound of Los Angeles, passing 2nd Street. Car 66 Adam, 77 Adam, go to 1st and Alameda. Car 19 William, go to 1st and Vignes. Repeat, 1st and Vignes. Units to handle, identify code 3.
All units, further to the second suspect vehicle, shop 13516. Chief Worrell has authorized the use of deadly force. Repeat, use of deadly force is authorized in disabling both suspect vehicles.
Who is this guy? Peterson, assistant DA. What's he doing? He's here to cover our backs. I'm going in there, Jack. No one's trying to stop you. I found this at the ranch house. He's marked his routes. I'll go in here. Cole, you take the next entrance. Biggs, I need you to take the car and cover this spot here. I think that's his fail-safe exit. Cole, he's one of ours. What are you talking about?
Right where you are!
Got it? Got it. Peterson, you want to be DA? We'll earn your salt.
So, Kelso is your boy, Peterson? And working with Phelps? A handy lad, that Kelso.
Yes, he is, Chief. You can't imagine what those two have uncovered. It could go all the way to the top. I hope you won't be implicated.
So, you're the new broom, Peterson?
Looks like it.
And you think he'll make it out of there alive?
I think he might. He's a difficult boy to get rid of.
All right, Peterson. I'm listening. What's your offer?
Are you okay, Princess?
I felt better. He saved me from the doctor.
Hi, Tex. Do you remember me?
I'm not sure that I do. Have you come here to kill her?
Why would I do that, soldier?
Isn't that why you're all here?
I'm here to get her out.
Her, but not me. You haven't come for me.
No, not you. It ends here.
You were with the 6th on Sugarloaf, weren't you?
I was?
And Naha?
Yes, I was.
You're Sergeant Jack Kelso, aren't you? Where's your uniform, Sarge?
At home in my locker, Hogaboom. War's over, soldier.
I know that, Sarge. I'm fighting a different kind of war. I fight for God now.
We all fight for God, Ira.
In our own ways. Not everyone knows it.
Elsa! Are you all right? Get away from her! It's all right, Cole. He doesn't want to hurt her. Ira was with us on Okinawa.
What? You know this guy? Don't you remember me, Lieutenant? I remember you. No. Don't. You ordered me to burn that cave, Lieutenant. That cave full of civilians. A hospital.
What is he talking about?
It was war. For God's sake, I can't be held responsible for everything that happened. I don't blame you, Lieutenant. You helped me to help other people.
Ira lost his mind on Okinawa, Princess.
Sheldon asked the doctor to help him get back. The doctor helped me to find my path. And I helped him to a better life.
Elsa's going to leave now, Ira. She will be all right. You've helped her, too. Get her out of here. Biggs will help. His ex is nearby.
Jack, I need this guy to make the case.
Hasn't this poor bastard given you enough? Get out of here now.
For God's sake, Jack, what are you going to do?
Don't cry, miss. Sergeant Kelso has come to help ease my way. I was proud to serve with you, Jack.
Get out of here, Cole!
What do we do, Lieutenant? Jesus, look at all the kids! Stop the goddamn screaming! I need to think!
And how do you expect to do that, you fucking maniac? They're burned to a crisp!
Finish them off. Do it humanely. We are leaving this place.
You do it, Phelps! Get your own fucking hands dirty! I'm on morphine!
Put these people out of their pain. Now! That's an order!
Everyone out of here now. Double time! You two get Lieutenant Phelps to an aid station. Weapon team will be blowing this place in 2 minutes. Everything that happened in here stays in here. Do you hear me? I don't want to ever hear another word about it.
Killed that man!
He was doing him a favor, Elsa.
Cole, up here! I'll get this crate
Hurry,
over. The water is rising.
You're first.
Hand her up.
Get out of here! You're not Jack! I'm not arguing. You're wounded, Jack. Let me help.
What are you waiting for?
Jump, Cole! Jump for it!
We're gathered here to honor Detective Cole Phelps. Cole Phelps was the best kind of man. Hear, hear. A war hero who led his men with true valor. And through his personal bravery achieved one of his country's highest honors. A cop wrongly accused who never lost his faith in the LAPD and the system.
Fine. You belittle his memory.
Elsa.
Out of my way, Jack. You call yourself his friend.
A detective who fought to expose the evil corruption of the murderous Dr. Fontaine and the rapacious property tycoon Leyland Monroe.
Go to her. Will you, Herschel?
A reformer who
You were never his
recognized the
friend,
need to
Jack.
remove the odd bad apple from a
you're
department
right.
made up of good men.
Herschel?
A man who never gave up.
Yeah, Jack.
Who continued
never
to
his
fight
enemy.
the good fight.
I think you knew that, Jack.
The fight that cost him his own life. A good husband. A good father. And may I say, a good friend.
Although the Suburban Redevelopment Fund scam is exposed, several members escape justice by making a deal with the assistant DA to testify. They subsequently attend Phelps' funeral, with Roy Earl of all people delivering the eulogy in his memory, much to the disgust of Elsa, who leaves. Elsa was in disbelief when Kelso seemingly wants to prevent her from causing a scene, questioning if he was ever really friends with Cole. As Biggs follows her out to console her, he remarks to Kelso that Phelps was never his friend, to which Kelso agrees, but then responds that he was also never his enemy. Herschel states that he believes Cole knew this, hoping he had made peace with it before exiting. The moral of the story is that ultimately, the self-interest of some will come at the cost of a lot of innocent men. We see the disregard for life begin with Phelps in training to become an officer in the Marine Corps, and further during the war when he mistakenly had a bunch of civilians burnt to death. It's obvious that him doing his job will correlate with a lot of men dying, whether he does that job well or whether he does it bad. And while it's expected for war, the same disregard for life doesn't end when they come back home from the war. We see the disregard for the sacrifice made by the Marines who served in World War II. On the surface, they're doted upon as heroes, but the reality is that many of those who served were thrown into the margins of society and were left very vulnerable. We understand that Phelps and Kelso made a normal adjustment back into civilian life from their time in the war, but that wasn't the same experience for everyone, particularly Courtney and Hodgeboon. We see how quickly some of the men got wrapped up into a conspiracy and became prey for the LA Underground and a group of corrupt conspirators looking to take advantage of them for their benefit. The whole Suburban Redevelopment Fund conspiracy is quite the indictment on the corruption that is common under the capitalist system. The fact that a few power brokers in the city of Los Angeles conjured up a way to defraud the federal government and many GIs in the process isn't unfathomable. The system is built on such conspiracies simply at an institutional level. The government didn't care about the fact that the value was inflated. That was irrelevant. They wanted to steamroll those communities and build a highway, and paying the cost for the eminent domain was just the cost of doing business. The interstate system has historically displaced communities, and the fraud being committed by the fund was literally just icing on the cake that is Los Angeles in the 40s and 50s. It's not unique to this era, but many things went unchecked, and it was easier to commit grand conspiracies. Although, as far as I can figure, only the homicide cases were based on real events. It's not hard to inquire just how corrupt the LAPD was during the 40s though, as although this Suburban Redevelopment Fund isn't necessarily real, there was rampant corruption in the LAPD, the mayor's office, so on and so forth during this era. And of course, it's why we get noir genre of movies, because there was a lot going on at this time. The redemption arc for Phelps occurs as he essentially gets Jack Kelso's approval. Through getting to the bottom of the Suburban Redevelopment Fund conspiracy and uncovering the truth, Kelso comes to realize that Phelps isn't just seeking glory. To some extent, he is just trying to do the right thing. At the funeral, it came to pass that although they were never friends, they weren't enemies. And Kelso seems to get a sense of closure from Biggs in knowing that Phelps had the same understanding. Phelps notably had a genuine connection with his partner Biggs. I'd say that was in large part because when he was down and out and the world threw him away, Biggs stuck close to Phelps and even stood up for him at various moments, and was able to open up about, his past experiences and the fact that he was a Marine in World War I. They had a real bond and connection that wasn't present with his past partners. Although good men can exist within corrupt institutions need to be destroyed before they destroy us. Phelps gave the ultimate sacrifice, and to him, it was the only way to atone for everything that had led up to that moment. So that's all I've got for today. If you haven't already, please like the video and please subscribe. If you made it this far, I appreciate the support, and I'll be working on a new video. Well, I'm already working on other videos, but I'll be uploading real soon. So thank you guys for, coming along for the ride.